One of the episodes talks very comprehensively about how Marxists essentially have taken over education and transformed education from something that was churning out intelligent individuals, and instead treated them like inputs to a machine, because they were seen as blank slates that could be turned into obedient slaves, if I could put it, in a Marxist society. It's awful, isn't it?
It's terrible, and yeah, that was an interesting thing to discover, because I think when you dig back into the history of it, you can see the terrible things that happened in the Russian Revolution, and and all the horrors that came down the line from that later on, and indeed actually going back further to the French Revolution. A lot of it comes out of this idea of blank slatism, because once you believe that, then you start to see human beings as just like sort of puppets, or that things that you're going to mold, and that people can just come in and shape them as, rather than as these thinking, choosing individuals. That's at the heart of the Christian idea of what a moral individual is.
It treats people who as not having a soul, essentially. Born without a soul, but just born into a machine. Now, one other point I've got to raise with you from the series, which I found incredibly charming, and we're both actually beneficiaries of this. One of the key technological developments of the West is the invention of spectacles. Tell us about that, Marc.
I love this story. I think it's very underappreciated. We're so used to them. But of course, for a long time, spectacles didn't exist. They had to be invented. They were invented in Italy in the Middle Ages. But it's an enormously important invention, because, so some people need glasses when they're younger, but almost everyone needs glasses when they get a little bit older. They get into their 40s and they can't do close work anymore until they invented glasses. Now that really matters, because suddenly people can work a lot longer, they can do a lot more close work. They can also spend a lot more time studying fine documents, which are quite hard to read without glasses, especially when you're older. And this was very important in the Renaissance, when people were going back into the archives, the monastic archives, and digging up these Greek and Roman Latin documents. So that really, really helped. So it's enormously important. And actually, it helped also with the spread of printing, which is also a very powerful technology. Because when people can read slightly finer print, you can make the print smaller in the books. It makes the economy different. You have a much larger proportion of people who can read later in life when they're wealthier. So in a way, creating glasses helped to create the market conditions where printing was possible, or at least more economically fruitful. So spectacles have these huge influences on what comes later, but it's a very unappreciated invention.
Yeah. And from that, we developed the civilization that we have today.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary.
And also, of course, lenses in spectacles then lead a little bit later, because there's a long gap, but they lead to telescopes and they lead to microscopes. It's the same technology, you just put them into tubes and do other things with them. And that starts to unlock all kinds of extraordinary things about science and the universe, small and large, the theory of disease and germs, to understanding stars and breaking out of the sort of geocentric model.